For the past 3 years, I've traded with prop firms every single day, excluding Saturday and Sunday because the market's closed then. But in that time, I've had a lot of experiences and a lot of lessons. So in this video, I'm going to tell you what I wish I could go back in time and tell myself when I first started day trading with prop firms, when I had no experience. So let's get right into this video. So first, we're going to go over why I chose to start trading with prop firms. So at the time, 3 years ago, I wasn't doing that good with my trading and I was trading on personal capital. So as your personal capital starts to run lower, you have to put money into that trading account to fund it. And there's also margin requirements. So let's say you might have to maintain like a $2,000 balance in your account just to keep the account active and actually like have futures trading privileges or options trading privileges or whatever you're trying to trade. So that's one thing you got to keep in mind that's going to be a setback for a lot of people that are low on capital. So with prop firms, the difference is though, I could come here and I could pay like $200 for a prop firm challenge, and all I'm investing is that $200. And for my return, I could get like, let's say $1,000 payout, or I could get like a $2,000 payout, or I could get a couple payouts from the account. So pretty much the return on investment was too hard for me to ignore, because as my capital is getting low, I thought the opportunity cost of trading with like a prop firm versus prop capital was it was just a better decision to trade the prop capital. And I still think if you're low on capital, it's the best decision to trade the prop firms. Obviously the goal would be to trade on your own personal funds, but if you don't have the money, you don't have the money, and prop firms are a great way to get that money as long as you still have the skill of trading. So now let's get into the important part, the mistakes that I made that I wish I could go back and tell my old self. So number one, the biggest mistake that I made was I was buying prop firm challenges that were too big. Because when you first come into prop firms, especially if you're new to trading, it's very likely that you're going to blow a lot of prop firm challenges. And when you're blowing these accounts, you don't want these to be like huge hits to you financially. So the first thing that you should do is buy a prop firm challenge that's small enough to where you lose the money. You wouldn't care if you lost it. So like, let's say a 50K account. And then once you pass that account and get a payout, you use some of the proceeds from that payout to buy a different prop firm challenge of a bigger size. So that's like reinvesting the money into yourself. So it's not like coming out of your pocket. And also, it just making it easier for when you do fail a lot of challenges. It's not going to be a large financial burden on you, because that was something that I experienced when I first started trading prop firms. I wasn't trading futures prop firms, I was trading forex prop firms, and forex prop firms just have a higher challenge fee. So I was paying like $400 to $500 for a 100K challenge. The rules were preferable to futures, they were better, but if I fail four of those challenges right there, that's $2,000 down the drain. So it's a really slippery slope, and it's really easy to just accumulate debt when you're taking these larger challenge sizes. So before you go for a larger challenge size, get your first payout. And I also had a lot of other struggles during this time. One of the struggles was, as I was accumulating that debt, I kept buying those larger prop firm challenges because I thought, oh, if I downsize now, how am I going to ever make back this debt? And also, when that debt was growing, it was just always like in the back of my mind. I'm like, I'm so in debt to these prop firms. I've lost so much money. I haven't even gotten a payout. And then when I get closer to passing these challenges, I start getting all emotional. If, let's say, I'm really close to passing that challenge, I'm not thinking clearly. I'm not making the right decisions. I'm making stupid decisions. I walk away from the charts and I go, oh my God, I was so emotional. I don't know why, like what caused me to think like that, but I would just make stupid decisions that I was never proud of when I walked away. And that's a part of trading, and prop firms play on that. You think it looks so easy to pass this, but they know that traders are going to face these battles and it's not going to be as easy as they think it would be on paper. And that's also part of the reason these companies give you such big account sizes. They know it's going to mess with your psychology when you start seeing these big numbers fluctuating on your screen. So when you see, oh, I'm up like $1,000, you're not really up $1,000. It's a prop firm challenge, but you see that 1,000 positive and you start getting emotional. You start thinking not clearly and you just make dumb decisions. And the prop firms know that. And they pretty much prey on your downfall. And you got to keep that in mind. But some of the other struggles that I had is when I was first getting into prop firms, I wasn't choosing the right prop firms. It's not as much of a problem right now as long as you're choosing like futures prop firms, but those Forex, like CFD prop firms, a long time ago, at first they were really reputable and they went downhill very quickly. There's one prop firm that went down. I had two pending payouts with them, and then I also had two active accounts with them, and then I lost all that because they just went under. And then another company, I thought they were going to be solid. They went down. I had a big payout with them pending, and then I never got that payout. I think that payout was like 1.7K. I actually, it's been so long, I don't remember the exact number off the top of my head, but I never got that money. And then on top of that, I also had an account with them that was active that I never got to use again. So it's just a lot of setbacks that were unnecessary. Now these futures prop firms, they do seem pretty legit. I love Topstep. I love myfundedfutures. Also, if you're going to check out myfundedfutures, there's a link down below. You can click that link and use code TIMBY272 to get whatever the most recent discount is. So go check them out. I use myfundedfutures myself, but just make sure you're using a reputable prop firm. It doesn't have to be myfundedfutures, but just make sure you find a reputable prop firm. Because if you do all that work and you finally get that payout, you do not want to be having that payout denied, especially for some stupid reason. Oh, and I don't think I mentioned this too. Another company that I was trying to get a challenge approved for was I passed the challenge. It was a 2-phase challenge. So they say make this percent, and now once you pass, there's phase 2 and make this percent. I passed phase 1, I passed phase 2, and they're like, oh, you're copy trading with a group. I was not copy trading with the group, and that's just some stupid bullshit excuse they're trying to give me, for lack of a better term, because they just don't want to pay me out and they were having financial problems. So just make sure you're choosing the right prop firm. It's very important, and you'll regret it later if you don't. So now that I've explained the struggles, I'm going to go over what actually worked for me. So the number one thing that worked for me, the number one most beneficial thing, was I had to change my mindset in these prop firm accounts. So when you get approved for that account, or once you start trading it, you think, oh, I have X amount in drawdown. No, you really don't. On paper, yes, you do, but how much did you pay for that prop firm account? So let's say if I paid $50, right? If I lose $1,000 in a day on the challenge, I don't say, oh, I lost $1,000. If I lost half of my drawdown and I paid $50, I lost $25. And then once you actually get into that funded account, let's say you have that $2,000 trailing drawdown. You don't have $2,000 to trade with, because number one, that's a trailing drawdown. And then the correct way to think about it is, okay, I paid $50 for the account. I paid $150 for the activation fee. This is just using Topstep's prices for this example. But I've put $200 into this account. So every time you lose $100, it's more like you lost $10 because you have a 2K drawdown. And it's also a trailing drawdown. So it's a lot harder to think about it like that. But you got to think, I only put in this amount of money. This is the most I can lose. So this is how much this account is worth to me. And that also should be like a liberating thing, because then you're like, you know what? If I can get a 2K payout and I only put in 200, that's a 10 times ROI, which stands for return on investment, if you didn't know. But that's a great ROI. And that's one of the reasons why prop firms are amazing to trade with. And one last thing that worked for me is just not making prop firms the number one thing that I care about. Now, don't get me wrong. I love day trading. It's something I think about for a majority of the day. But one of the things that is a problem when you make trading your top priority or main focus is just that you care too much. Because like I was talking about before with like emotions coming into play, when it's the only thing that you care about, I feel like it always goes downhill for me. And then another problem with that is then when you actually lose, it's going to affect the rest of your day. You could mope around, and then you could even come to the next day with a shitty attitude again, and it could affect your trades in just a negative way. And one last piece of advice is you cannot rely on the payouts that you're going to be getting from these prop firms. So I'm saying, like, let's say if you don't have a job, or if your job doesn't pay you enough, it's a very like a tricky situation you're in, because then, like I talked about before with emotions coming into play, if you need to get a payout by the end of the month, you're going to start forcing setups. They're not going to be as high quality since you forced it, and you're just pretty much putting yourself in one of the worst emotional states that you could be in. Now, I know once you go full time with trading, um, your main source of income would be trading, and there are people that do that, but that takes them many years of experience. That's not something you should be taking lightly. And on top of that, there's a lot of people that do trade full time, but at the same time, they have other sources of income where they have like some small business on the side where they own some app and they get like reoccurring income from some app purchases, or they might have like some videos they make online and they get affiliate commissions, or they sell a course, or I'm pretty much saying that most people that claim to make a full-time income from day trading are supplementing it in some way, and that's benefiting their mental state, because they know that, let's say if um, they aren't able to make any money from trading that month, or if they lose a lot of money from trading that month, bills are still going to be paid between their large savings account they've accumulated and from the reoccurring income they have. They don't have to worry, and that just allows them to come to the charts with a clear state of mind that they need. So to wrap up, what's my advice to you, the viewer? If you're getting into trading with prop firms, I think you made a great decision. Prop firms are a great way to trade, especially compared to personal capital once you're getting into it. But you got to take this very seriously. You got to start with a low size. So you're going to slowly work your way into this. And before that, I recommend even starting a demo account. So you trade demo, start as small as you can the prop firm, use that payout to fund the larger prop firm challenges. And at that point, it's almost impossible for you to get in a large amount of debt because you're throwing in small amounts of money and you're only going to start throwing in more money once you're making more money. So you get that payout, you're going to reinvest that payout. So there's not money coming out of your pocket. It's almost like it's coming out of your profit from the prop firm. So that's a great way to get into prop firms. Also, you just need to make sure that you're journaling and you're using a system that has an edge over time. So to journal, you should just be keeping track of every trade you take and saying, just marking what you did and didn't like about it. So that way you can go back and look over time. Are there any trends you're having? What you can do to improve? And the way that you're going to test to make sure your strategy works that well is this thing called back testing. I love back testing. I have to mention my favorite back testing software is FX Replay. There's going to be a link down below. And if you use that link and code 10B272, you're going to get 15% off FX Replay. So really go check that out. But all it allows you to do is just go back in time and you can trade as if it was live time. You can place market orders, limit orders, stop orders, like take profit orders, stop loss orders. So pretty much you can track all your analytics over past data and you'd be trading at past data as if it was real time. But yeah, so prop firms are a great opportunity. I think they're great for new traders as long as you come with them smart. There's a reason many people fail, and that's why you need to remember that you are not above the statistics and you're not any different than the statistics. And the statistics show that there's very few profitable traders at prop firms. So if this is something you really care about, don't give up on it. Keep trading, and with time, nothing can stop you, and you'll be able to make large amounts of money from prop firms. So if you watch this through all the way, I'd really appreciate it if you could give me a like, put a comment down below, and also subscribe. I hope you have a great day.